Some video game bosses have become immortalized due to their intriguing backstory, some their cool design, and some their brutal difficulty. However, there are certain antagonists who are renowned for their resilience. Despite being decapitated, reduced to ash, or written out of reality, these sinister scoundrels waved a giant middle finger to the Grim Reaper and came back anyway. I'm Jess from WhatCulture, and here are 10 video game bosses who just wouldn't die. Number 10. Lavos, Chrono Trigger. In Chrono Trigger, the titular time traveler allies with warriors from different time periods to stop an alien parasite called Lavos from destroying the world. Taking on the malevolent creature is no easy task, since Lavos uses tactics of every major boss in the game. If Chrono survives every phase, Lavos will begin using his own strategies, which involve raining hellfire onto the entire party. After sustaining enough damage, Lavos' head will explode, seemingly dying. But it's not over. After besting the malignant beast, Chrono's party will realize they've been tussling with Lavos' exoskeleton, and they need to journey inward to face his true form. After another arduous scrap, Chrono destroys Lavos, and this time, he's definitely dead. But it's not over. Again, just as he died, Lavos gave birth to Lavos Core, who serves as the true final boss. This newborn is insufferable to fight, since it can hide its essence inside two neighboring pods. On multiple occasions, Lavos Core will seemingly die, only to transfer his essence into his pods, dragging out this already lengthy brawl. Although this showdown goes on forever, it should be expected. Considering Lavos has made Earth his home for millions of years, he was always going to put up one hell of a fight. Number 9. Shao Kahn, Mortal Kombat. Pretty much any rival from Mortal Kombat could have been on this list, since death is pretty meaningless in Ed Boon's spine-ripping bloodfest. But if anyone's taking the piss when it comes to cheating death, it's Shao Kahn. Despite dying in Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, and Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, retcons keep allowing the Outworld Emperor to come back. Having said that, it really did look like Kahn met his maker in Mortal Kombat 9, when his very essence was obliterated. But after Kronika meddled with the time stream in Mortal Kombat 11, Shao Kahn was transported through time to the present. Fortunately, Liu Kang defeated Kronika and Kahn, bringing peace to the realms for like 5 minutes. After Liu Kang inherited Kronika's power, the Shaolin monk was able to mold the realms as he saw fit. Despite his best efforts to shape his old nemesis into a less destructive force, the reborn Shao was more cunning than ever. Since the skull-helmeted barbarian survived the events of the last installment, there's no doubt he'll absolutely return in the follow-up. Number 8. The Hunter, Dead Space. Though Dead Space is rife with tension, things are taken to a new extreme every time the Hunter's on the scene. Resembling a bulkier slasher, first-timers will assume this foe will be a bit stronger than a regular enemy. But after noticing the Hunter can survive, well, pretty much anything, it becomes clear tackling this deformed critter isn't a great idea. Even if our spacefaring engineer blows the regenerative beastie to kingdom come, it'll still be back to normal in a few seconds. Since facing this insidious necromorph head-on is a death sentence, knowing when to hide or run is crucial. Although it's imperative to conserve ammo, especially against this invincible foe, our hero can blast the Hunter's legs off to momentarily immobilize it and keep a distance. Since the Hunter only appears sporadically, hours can go by without seeing him, to the point where it's easy to forget about him. So when this living nightmare returns in later chapters, players can't help thinking, wait, is that thing still alive? Though the Hunter can't be killed until the end, instinct tells players to empty their arsenal into it, despite how ineffective that strategy actually is. Number 7. Sigma, Mega Man X. When a sentient android called Mega Man X is unearthed in the future, he finds himself caught in a war against maverick robots, led by the ruthless android Sigma. Though Sigma was once a noble warrior, he was driven insane after being infected by the maverick virus. On top of that, his programming mutated the malware into the Sigma virus, allowing the cleft-chin tyrant to transfer his consciousness into any machine in his proximity. Every time Sigma is destroyed, he hides his essence in a nearby computer or robot, allowing him to rebuild his body. Due to his pseudo-immortality, X and his allies have squared off against the megalomaniac evildoer more times than you can count. On multiple occasions, Sigma is seemingly destroyed, only to be reborn in a new body seconds later. forcing the blue bomber to clash with him 2 or 3 times in a row. That said, Sigma did seemingly meet his end in Mega Man X8 and hasn't appeared in an official installment in decades. But if the X series was ever revived, it wouldn't be surprising if one of the characters said, "Somehow Sigma has returned." Number 6. Ridley, Metroid. Despite never being the central baddie in Metroid, there's no doubt that Ridley is Samus Aran's arch-nemesis. Not only did he murder Samus's parents, the galactic bounty hunter has fought Ridley more than anybody else. Even though each encounter with the sadistic pterosaur ends with his apparent demise, his healing powers allow him to stave off death time and again. Even when Ridley has well and truly kicked the bucket, the space pirate general keeps getting resurrected, often through cloning or enhanced cybernetics. Though Ridley rarely serves as the final boss, he's one of the hardest enemies in each game he features in. Due to his phenomenal speed and tiny weak point, Ridley is a nightmare to hit. For this reason, our heroine can use up all her heavy artillery long before the winged fiend's health bar depletes. Worst of all, players can't even rest easy after vanquishing this diabolical foe, knowing his return is pretty much assured. Number 5. Liquid Snake, Metal Gear Solid. Though Metal Gear Solid has no shortage of incredible villains, nobody is as persistent as Liquid Snake. Believing his twin Solid Snake inherited the superior genes of Big Boss over himself, Liquid has dedicated his life to prove he's the greater of the two. Halfway through the first MGS, Snake confronts his demented sibling, who's piloting a bazooka-shooting helicopter. After blasting him out of the sky, Liquid is seemingly sent to an early grave. And yet, the Foxhound commander returns later, this time armed with the Metal Gear Rex walking battle tank. After the machine is destroyed, Liquid challenges his brother to fisticuffs on top of the gargantuan mech. Even though the mano a mano ends with Liquid plummeting off the Metal Gear, he still has the strength to hop on a jeep and chase Snake in the final battle. Considering Liquid survived a helicopter crash blowing up inside his mech, falling from said mech, and crashing his jeep, he seems pretty much indestructible. But in a cruel twist of fate, Liquid is snuffed out by a dormant virus inside him, just as he's about to shoot Snake dead. It's ironic how Liquid survived everything thrown at him, only to be defeated by his own body. Number 4. Seymour, Final Fantasy X. Even though Sin is Final Fantasy X's primary antagonist, religious leader Seymour Guado is a bigger thorn in our hero's side. The horn-haired mage claims to be an ally to Tidus and his companions at first, but later proves to be a big fan of world domination. After defeating Seymour, Tidus has no reason to believe that the crazed sorcerer will return. Soon after, it's revealed that the land was forever filled with wandering spirits called unsents, who've yet to move on into the afterlife. Since Seymour is an unsent, he has no desire to leave the world until he's tended to unfinished business. Although Seymour only appears 4 times, players quickly learn to hate the character due to his brutally unfair tactics. His third incarnation, Seymour Flux, is infamously difficult, since he can neutralize the hero's summons after one use. Flux often performs 2 devastating attacks in a row, giving Tidus' teammates no opportunity to counter or heal. For this reason, players have 0 chance against Flux unless they grind like crazy and go into the bout with a bulletproof strategy. Even then, you still have another fight before Mr. Guado's down for good. He may not be the arch-villain, but Seymour's refusal to die makes him one of the most infuriating enemies in the entire franchise. Number 3. Nyx Avatar, Persona 3. Multi-phase battles are nothing new in video games, especially when it comes to the final boss. However, there's no question that Persona 3's big bad is the reigning champion of multi-phase fights. Boasting an unprecedented, and wait for it if you don't know this one, 14 phases, the climax with Nyx Avatar can last over an hour. Once Nyx recoups her health bar for the 10th time, players may wonder if they're utilizing the correct strategy, since they can't understand why she doesn't stay down. Unsurprisingly, Nyx saves her most irritating strategies for the final phase, charming party members to heal her to full health, stretching out this already time-consuming showdown. Also, if the party fails in the last phase, they have to fight her again from the very beginning. Even though the heroes only fight this extraterrestrial entity one time, this endless battle is sure to leave many people screaming to the heavens out of frustration. Number 2. Jack, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Resident Evil is filled with enemies who refuse to stay dead, and that's even by zombie standards. As such, fans are half expecting these undead creatures to resurrect themselves even after they've popped their clocks. However, everyone was astonished by Jack Baker's resilience while playing Resident Evil 7. After Jack cornered Ethan Winters in the garage, our hero was forced to blow his brains out, which would usually be enough to eliminate a regular zombie, but Jack shakes it off and gets back to making Ethan's life a living hell. While taking part in a chainsaw duel, Ethan eviscerates Jack until he's nothing more than a pair of legs. And at this point, even the most skeptical Resi fans would safely have assumed Jack was dead. Sadly, soon after, the patriarch of the Baker family is revived as a colossal abomination, hunting Ethan once more. Once Jack is defeated, he doesn't appear for the rest of the campaign, indicating he's finally been put to rest, until he pops up in DLC End of Zoe. Jack hounds you once again, and this time as a nigh indestructible creature called Swamp Man. Even though Resident Evil villains like Nemesis and William Birkin have a rep for cheating death, Jack Baker has them both beat. Number 1. Vergil, Devil May Cry series. There are few bosses, if any, who encapsulate the phrase, "Please just die," better than Vergil from Devil May Cry. Throughout the series, Dante and his allies must contend against this nasty piece of work a whopping 16 times. Fighting an ordinary boss that often would be irritating for anyone, but Vergil is anything but ordinary. Though Dante's twin brother has taken on many forms and many names, it's guaranteed that every incarnation will test the demon hacking hero's mettle. Due to Vergil's lightning reflexes, merciless strikes, and ludicrous durability, every single bout is exhausting. Since his assaults are rarely telegraphed, players have to be on high alert at all times. Not only is Vergil a damage sponge, the Darkslayer can teleport, making it tricky to land a hit on him at all. Although veterans should have no problem facing screen-filling nasties and ancient gods, their hearts sink every time this white-haired hybrid shows his face. What's worse is that even if the player bests him in battle, you always know he's going to return for another painstaking and time-consuming bout in the near future.